Title: EU fires fresh sanctions salvo at Russia. Where's the punchline? TLDR. EU steps it up a notch and says enough is enough, slapping a fresh round of sanctions against Russia over the Ukraine conflict. But with trade loopholes, economic interests, and diplomatic ties at play, are these sanctions all bark and no bite? So, it's another Wednesday, and we've got the EU back at it again, sharpening their sanction pencils and throwing another sanction party. This time it's all for Mother Russia. The latest package of sanctions, agreed upon by the good folks of the EU, are yet another attempt to flex their diplomatic muscles over Russia's ongoing involvement in Ukraine. The EU countries have evidently brought their E-game, with measures aimed at countering sanctions, circumvention and individual listings. What's that mean in plain English? They're trying to keep Russia from doing the sanctions sidestep and making a mockery of the system. So, will the latest round of sanctions bring the Russian bear to its knees? Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission President and today's sanctions cheerleader, sure seems to think so. She believes the new package will be a sucker punch to Putin's war machine, with tightened export restrictions targeting those supporting the Kremlin. In her words, the anti-circumvention tool will prevent Russia from getting its hands on sanctioned goods. This new plan is a bit of a curveball, targeting trade via other countries for the first time. While the ink on these new rules is still wet, one can't help but ask, are these sanctions just a stern finger wagging at Russia, or is this the start of a more aggressive and effective pushback? However, it's not all rainbows and unicorns in the land of the EU. The sanctions, while aimed at Russia, are having a bit of a boomerang effect on some EU member countries, impacting their economic and political interests. Remember Hungary? Yes, that's right, the same country that said thanks, but no thanks to EU measures targeting Russian state nuclear energy company Rosatom. They'd rather keep their cozy energy ties with Moscow, thank you very much. It's a bit of a pickle, ain't it? While the EU is flexing its muscles, sanctions are causing friendly fire within the Union itself. Hungary is not alone in its balancing act. Several other EU nations have vested interests with Russia that complicates this sanctions conundrum. So, here we are with the EU's new sanctions package. Will it make Putin sweat, or is it just another paper tiger? And, with economic and diplomatic entanglements within the EU, how much bite do these sanctions really have? Disclaimer: this article is intended for informational purposes only. It is not designed to provide any form of advice or recommendations. As we close this chapter on the EU's latest attempt at reining in Russia, let's leave you with this thought: are sanctions truly an effective tool, or is it time to rethink our approach to international diplomacy? What's your take on this sanctions saga?